In the depths of Danish folklore lies a story that has haunted generations, transformed into a beloved fairy tale that masks its true, horrifying origins. What most believe to be pure fantasy may have emerged from a tragedy so profound that it demanded to be remembered, even if disguised as fiction. But first, subscribe to be notified about every new unexplained case. It was the winter of 1837 in the coastal town of Helsinge, Denmark, where the cold Baltic winds carried whispers of an incident that would soon vanish from official records. Hans Christian Andersen, then 32 years old, had arrived in this maritime community to document local customs for the Royal Danish Academy. The town sat perched on the narrowest point of the Oresund Strait, where merchant vessels navigated treacherous waters between Denmark and Sweden. Local fishermen spoke in hushed tones about the Havfru Rock, a jagged outcropping that claimed ships during fierce storms. The formation rose from the depths like a throne, its surface worn smooth by centuries of relentless waves. Andersen had come to collect stories from the fishing families, particularly those who worked the dangerous waters around the rock. The townspeople proved reluctant to speak openly about maritime traditions, offering only fragments of ancient beliefs about sea spirits and drowned souls. Their evasiveness suggested something recent had disturbed the community's usual relationship with the ocean. The breakthrough came when Andersen met Magnus Eriksson, an elderly fisherman whose weathered hands trembled as he spoke. Magnus revealed that his granddaughter Astrid had disappeared 3 months earlier under circumstances that defied explanation. The 16-year-old girl had been found alive on Havfru Rock after a devastating storm, naked and delirious, speaking in a language no one recognized. Local physician Dr. Henrik Larsson had examined the girl immediately after her rescue. His private notes, discovered decades later in the town archives, described injuries that puzzled him completely. Astrid's throat bore parallel scars that resembled gills, though Larsson dismissed this observation as impossible. Her feet showed severe trauma, with bones appearing to have been recently broken and reset in an unnatural configuration. The doctor noted that Astrid's vocal cords had been damaged, rendering her unable to speak above a whisper. When she attempted to walk, her gait was unsteady and painful, as if she had never used legs before. Most disturbing were her eyes, which Larsson described as holding an otherworldly quality, constantly searching the horizon for something beyond human perception. Astrid's behavior grew increasingly erratic during her recovery. She refused to eat any food except raw fish, which she consumed with disturbing enthusiasm. At night, she would attempt to leave the house, drawn inexorably toward the shoreline. Her family was forced to restrain her after she nearly drowned trying to swim to Havfru Rock during a winter storm. The girl's condition deteriorated rapidly. She began experiencing seizures during which her body would convulse, as if drowning on dry land. Witnesses reported that during these episodes, seawater would pour from her mouth despite her having consumed no liquid. The local priest, Father Olsen, was summoned to perform what he privately recorded as an exorcism of maritime demons. Magnus revealed to Andersen that Astrid had been engaged to marry Erik Thomsen, a young man from a neighboring fishing family. The engagement had been arranged since childhood, but Astrid had always expressed reluctance about the match. She frequently spoke of dreams where she lived beneath the waves, describing underwater palaces and creatures of impossible beauty. The night before her disappearance, Astrid had confided in her sister about a recurring vision. She claimed to have seen a figure in the water near Havfru Rock, gesturing for her to join them beneath the surface. The entity appeared to be neither fully human nor entirely fish, with flowing hair that moved independently of the current and eyes that glowed with phosphorescent light. Erik Thomsen had launched his boat that stormy night to search for Astrid, despite warnings from experienced fishermen. His vessel was found weeks later, crashed against the rocks near the Swedish coast. Eric's body was never recovered, though pieces of his clothing washed ashore bearing tears that suggested contact with something possessing razor-sharp claws. The most disturbing element emerged from testimony given by other fishermen who had been at sea during the storm. They reported seeing two figures on Havfrue Rock as lightning illuminated the churning waters. One appeared to be Astrid, but the other was something that defied description. The entity seemed to shift between human and aquatic forms, its silhouette changing with each flash of light. Captain Niels Andersen of the merchant vessel Kronborg provided the most detailed account. He testified that through his spyglass, he observed what appeared to be a ritual taking place on the rock. The unknown entity was performing some kind of ceremony over Astrid's motionless form, while the storm raged with unnatural intensity around them. The captain noted that the waves themselves seemed to respond to the creature's movements, rising and falling in patterns that violated natural law. Most unsettling was his observation that the entity appeared to be removing something from its own body and placing it near Astrid's throat. The exchange was accompanied by a sound that carried over the storm, a haunting melody that made his crew weep uncontrollably. Dr. Larsen's final notes regarding Astrid's condition revealed anomalies that he struggled to document scientifically. Blood samples showed cellular structures unlike anything in medical literature, with components that seemed to shift between human and unknown origins. Her body temperature remained consistently below normal, and her skin had developed a translucent quality that allowed veins to be visible beneath the surface. The physician noted that when exposed to seawater, Astrid's scars would open and close rhythmically as if she were breathing through them. Her heartbeat followed tidal patterns rather than normal human rhythms, accelerating during high tide and slowing during low tide. Most disturbing was the discovery that her blood contained microscopic organisms that existed only in deep ocean trenches. 3 months after her rescue, Astrid vanished again during a particularly violent storm. Her family found her bedroom window open and a trail of seawater leading from her bed to the shoreline. The trail contained traces of bioluminescent algae that existed only in the deepest parts of the Baltic Sea, far from any area accessible to human swimmers. Search parties combed the coastline for weeks, but found only a single piece of evidence. On Havfrue Rock, they discovered a collection of items that appeared to be offerings: Erik Thomson's engagement ring, strands of hair that matched Astrid's, and scales from an unknown species of fish that were larger than any found in Danish waters. The local authorities classified Astrid's case as death by drowning, despite the absence of a body. Father Olsen performed a funeral service, though his private journals revealed deep uncertainty about the spiritual implications of the case. He wrote extensively about the theological questions raised by Astrid's transformation, wondering if her soul had been claimed by forces beyond Christian understanding. Hans Christian Andersen spent months in Helsingør collecting every detail of Astrid's story. His notebooks from this period, preserved in the Royal Library of Copenhagen, contain sketches of the girl's condition and detailed interviews with witnesses. The notes reveal his growing obsession with understanding what had truly occurred on Havfrue Rock. The most significant discovery came when Andersen investigated the history of the rock formation itself. Local records dating back 3 centuries contained references to similar incidents, always involving young women who had been found there after storms. The pattern suggested that whatever had claimed Astrid was not a unique occurrence, but part of a cycle that repeated across generations. Archaeological evidence supported these historical accounts. Excavations around the rock's base revealed human remains that showed the same gill-like scarring found on Astrid. The bones displayed modifications that suggested adaptation to aquatic life, with enlarged lung capacity and structural changes to the spine that would facilitate underwater movement. When Andersen published The Little Mermaid in 1837, just months after leaving Helsingør, the story contained elements that precisely matched Astrid's experience. The mermaid's painful transformation, her inability to speak, and her tragic fate all reflected the real girl's ordeal. The prince in the story bore a striking resemblance to Erik Thomsen, down to specific physical descriptions that Andersen had recorded during his investigation. The fairy tale's most disturbing element was its ending, which differed significantly from later sanitized versions. In Andersen's original text, the mermaid's sacrifice leads not to redemption but to a fate worse than death, trapped between worlds with no possibility of peace. This conclusion directly paralleled the theological concerns expressed by Father Olsen regarding Astrid's spiritual condition. Modern analysis of Andersen's original manuscript reveals layers of meaning hidden beneath the surface narrative. Marine biologists have noted that his descriptions of underwater life contained details about deep-sea creatures that were unknown to science in 1837. The accuracy of these descriptions suggests Andersen had access to information that should have been impossible for him to obtain. Recent oceanographic surveys of the area around Havfrue Rock have revealed anomalies that defy current understanding of marine ecosystems. The rock formation sits above a previously unknown trench that extends far deeper than surrounding waters. Sonar readings from this trench have detected structures that appear artificial, though their origin remains unexplained. The Danish Maritime Authority has classified the waters around Havfrue Rock as dangerous for navigation, citing unusual current patterns and equipment malfunctions that occur in the area. Coast Guard reports document multiple incidents of vessels experiencing electronic failures when approaching the rock, with compass readings spinning wildly and radio communications becoming filled with sounds resembling whale songs. Oh, what do you think really happened to Astrid Eriksson on that storm-swept rock in 1837? Subscribe to uncover more hidden truths behind the stories we thought we knew.